I'm just sick and tired of trying to be pretty. I don't want to always have to, first thing in the morning, look in the mirror before I leave the house, or have experiences ruined just because I didn't get one good photo. I feel like I'm just like constantly on this hamster wheel to attain this unattainable goal of being pretty. Honestly, like I've had trips that have been ruined because I didn't get a good photo to post on Instagram. And like, how silly is that? I'm exploring the world, but yet all I can think about is getting that one good photo. When in reality, I'm not even an Instagram model. So like, why do I have this pressure to look a certain way? I don't understand it. It's been eating away at me. And I just really felt like I had to make this video to share my thoughts. And hopefully a lot of you have also been coming to these same conclusions and are just like waking up. It breaks my heart that women around the world have become obsessed with being pretty. And it's to their own detriment. Like, we're literally putting our lives at risk to undergo certain procedures in order to be quote unquote pretty. I myself included. And I'm just getting to the point where I've reached my threshold. And I am willingly choosing not to participate in this competition of being pretty. In order to truly get to the crux of the issue, we have to understand the definition of pretty. Like, what does pretty even mean? I'll tell you what pretty is. Pretty is a made-up concept that changes based on the time period we're in, that changes on the culture we're in as well. And a great example is if you go to any museum and you look in an art gallery, you'll see the women that are depicted as pretty look so differently than how pretty women are depicted now in our society. Most of the women, especially back in the Renaissance age, were very plump and had very feminine features. The definition of pretty changes based on where you are in the world. It's going to be different in Western societies versus Eastern societies. So this all goes to show you that pretty is just arbitrary. It's just a made-up concept. It does not exist. When you really think about it, you start understanding that this is a forever moving goalpost that you're going to try to be reaching, and it's unattainable. It's unattainable because the actual definition does not exist. The concept of pretty is largely determined by society. Right now in our society, I think we all collectively agree on a definition of pretty. The thing is, in a few years, it's going to change. That just goes to show you like how arbitrary it is, how useless it is to even go after this, because it's always going to change. It's like the next fashion trend. Okay, so why are we prioritizing being pretty? Like, why does it even matter in the first place? Well, the simple answer is that we think it's going to get us love. We think it's going to get us acceptance, validation, and ultimately happiness, right? Because I truly believe at the end of the day, that's like every human being's goal is to be happy. We believe that when we're pretty, that we're accepted and we're going to be loved by society, and therefore we're going to be happy. But this is completely false. If this were true, every pretty girl on the planet would be happy. I can guarantee you that is not true. Another reason why we're prioritizing being pretty is because we're being told that that should be a value. We're being told that this should be our primary concern. And largely this is by businesses who are trying to sell either certain procedures or certain products. They're basically creating an issue where there needn't be an issue in the first place, but they're creating an arbitrary issue so that now you look at yourself when you go home, you look at the mirror and you say, gee, I have too much buccal fat, or my lips are too thin, or my nose is not pointy. And then you go after all these procedures and all these beauty products in order to fix something that was never broken in the first place. One day it's my goal, it's my dream to have a business, right? And what I've been learning is in order to start a business, you need to first find a problem, okay? Because the whole point of a business is to offer a solution to a problem. Now, what do businesses do if there isn't a problem? They'll just create one, especially in the beauty industry. This happens all the time. They'll just create a problem. So something that wasn't even on your mind in the first place as an issue, like cellulite, for example, suddenly becomes an issue. And then now, how convenient this business has the solution for you that you can buy. Okay, and then another reason, honestly, why we've been prioritizing our looks so much, in my opinion, is that we just have way too much time on our hands. Given modern day technology and all the beautiful solutions we've been getting to all our issues, we have been left over with a large amount of time. And what we're doing with that time is sitting at home, scrolling on our phone, and comparing ourselves to all these beautiful women that we would otherwise never have even come across in our small little town, in our small little neighborhood. But now we're seeing it in concentrated amounts on social media. And then we have the luxury of time to sit there and dissect ourselves bit by bit and just start like creating all these issues about our looks when really none of it existed in the first place. We just have way too much time on our hands. All right, so why is this a problem? Like, why are you so bothered by the fact that women are trying to be pretty? First of all, collectively, we're losing our sense of individuality. We are being told to look a certain way, to act a certain way. We're not even being told to do it. We're being told to want to do that. And so we lose our sense of individuality. And when we are all looking a certain way and acting a certain way, we become a lot easier to control. We become a lot easier to manipulate. And eventually, you'll come to a point where you lose ownership of your life and you lose your sense of individuality. Another issue, like, why is this a problem? So many women are now becoming obsessed with being pretty that now it's like their primary goal in their life. This goal is not adding any value to society. You being pretty is not helping society. It's not giving society any value. And so when all of us are kind of just like lost in this huge distraction, we can't actually benefit those around us because we're too busy fixing a wound that's been probably created from childhood. Because if you're not feeling loved, you're not feeling accepted, you haven't been validated, and you think, unfortunately, that being pretty is going to fix all your problems. Another reason why being pretty is a problem is because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of your attention. It's a waste of your money. These are all limited resources, meaning they're finite, meaning that we don't have endless money. We don't have, unfortunately, endless time. We don't have endless attention. And we're taking all of this that we have been given in such a short lifespan. We're taking all of this and you're just dumping it all in here. Trying to chase being pretty is going to set you up for a very miserable life. And I know it because I've been dealing with this for my entire life. It's going to be very miserable. It's going to be really, really dark. It's going to be filled with constant negative thoughts and comparison. And it's truly going to rob you of any joy and happiness. As someone who's largely prioritized being pretty or who thinks she's not pretty enough, it eats away at you. And it literally affects like how you interact with people, because in the back of your mind, you're constantly thinking, am I pretty enough? And it literally affects your day-to-day life. I want you to genuinely think of a time when you were happy. Think of that moment and now tell me, was being pretty any part of that? The answer is probably no, because when we're genuinely present and when we're genuinely in the moment, the last thing on our head should be how we're looking like. And then this further leads to the idea that external validation does not equate to happiness. External validation meaning the approval, the admiration, the compliments from others. You will never achieve happiness if that's your main goal, because that is so inconsistent. The biggest threat to society is a woman who is confident and secure and does not need validation from others, because then you cannot sell things to her. You cannot convince her that she's lacking something or that she's broken in a way and she needs fixing. She already believes that she's beautiful as she is, that she's pretty in her own definition, and therefore, honestly, nothing can touch her. It's also becoming a problem because it's taking away from our ability to be grateful. I honestly feel like quite guilty of this, because when I start like getting fixated on certain facial features, I forget that I'm so grateful to like have this. My nose is to smell. My lips are so that I can eat and I can form words. I don't care if they're thin or they're thick. Like, it doesn't matter. Why am I willingly objectifying myself so I can look pretty and be accepted by others based on their definition of pretty? Like, The only thing that should matter is the fact that I think I'm pretty. All these beauty influencers, all these celebrities that you're looking up to, they are also looking at other women, comparing themselves, and also feeling insecure. It's like this endless chain of insecurity. Okay, so some may counter this argument and say, well, I think everyone should look their best and feel their best and be the best version of themselves. By all means, you should do that. I'm striving for that all the time. I try to eat healthy, I try to work out. Everyone should do that. You should definitely show up as your best self. You should definitely groom yourself and look presentable. Like, definitely, if you're really into fashion and you want to look presentable, and if you want to buy that dress, by all means, buy that dress. But it should add to your beauty and not be the reason for it. A quick kind of question you can ask yourself when you're trying to debate whether you're doing this solely to be the best version of yourself versus are you just trying to do this because of social media or because of external influences, is picture your younger self, okay? And if that's hard to do, imagine you had a daughter and they come up to you and they say, I think my nose is too fat. I want to get a nose job. Or I think my lips are too thin. I want to get lip fillers. Or I have really chubby cheeks. I want to get buccal fat removal. What would your response to that be? And I'm pretty sure it would be, you are beautiful just the way you are. Why on earth would you go to the extents of changing yourself? I'm sure you would be overwhelmed with this feelings of love and want to tell that girl is beautiful exactly how she is and she should not change anything about herself. So just treat yourself with that exact same compassion as you would your younger self, as you would your daughter. Another counter argument to this would be, well, everyone is doing these procedures nowadays or buying these products nowadays. It's become so normalized, so why would I not participate in it? This is the exact same rhetoric that is going to get us stuck and is going to really hold us back. The thing is, I'm going to call us out here. Us women love slapping the word empowerment on everything we do just so that we cannot be further questioned on our actions. It's not empowerment. If anything, it's disempowerment. In fact, you're empowering social media. You're empowering these companies that are trying to sell you certain products. You're being brainwashed and you're being controlled to believe that the way you look is not normal. We know the issue now with being pretty, and we know the detriment of it, and we know how much it can take away from our happiness and from our sense of individuality. So what do? How do we fix this? First and foremost, you watch what you're consuming. I think a lot of us are just taking it all in from social media, and we're not filtering what we're consuming, and we're assuming at the end of the day we're not going to let it get to us. It does get to you. I promise it does get to you. Think about how many hours you're spending on social media. On average, probably 3 to 4 hours a day. Now think about what exactly you're consuming. What kind of influencers are you following? What kind of celebrities are you following? Eventually, this does make an impact on you. So the thing is, once you're constantly looking at influencers and certain celebrities that look nothing like you, you're always going to feel ugly because you're constantly comparing yourself to the unattainable, to people you're never even going to look like. So we all know the value and importance of money, and why it's so important is because you're exchanging your time and your hard work for money, and money is a finite source, meaning it's limited, you can run out of it. The same thing goes for attention, and attention lately has become the new money because attention is also a limited resource. You unfortunately don't have all the time and attention in the world. So where you allocate your time, who you give your attention to matters. It matters so freaking much. It matters more than money, arguably, because we can see it now with social media. The people we give attention are the ones who are profiting off of it. Once we give attention to a certain person, they now have influence over thousands, if not millions of people. And so you're giving them power by giving them attention. So I started following a lot more girls who look like me. I started unfollowing every girl who I would never look like. And honestly, that's made the world of a difference. Like, wow, I truly did not understand how much social media was truly affecting my perception of being pretty. Now, this is actually a huge and really, really important point, so stay with me. You need to start differentiating the word pretty from the word beauty. Two completely different concepts. I'm sure if you had the choice to choose between being pretty and being beautiful, you'd probably choose beautiful. Like, most people want to be called beautiful. But here's the thing, being beautiful has nothing to do with your looks. It has everything to do with your soul. True beauty is shown in individuals who have beautiful souls. Like, it just like emanates from them. And it's like hard to explain it because that's how powerful beauty is. It's hard to even put it into words. I'm like not the most religious person in the world, but I always remember learning about this in Islam actually, where if you're like a good Muslim, if you have a lot of good deeds, and if you like you have really good actions that you do, like those people literally emanate light. And I always thought that the whole concept was so beautiful, but it's so true. There's certain people in your life who may not fit the exact definition of society's version of pretty, but they're such a good person and they have such a beautiful soul that trumps being pretty. That like elevates them way more than like how they would look like. When you actually do the work, when you actually do the healing, and you have like good karma and you have good actions and you help other people and you treat other people nicely, it shows up in your face. It actually does. And we know how trauma and stress affects our looks. It truly does. It causes hair loss. It causes problems in your skin, in like where you hold your weight in your face even. And you know, once you actually do all the healing without even changing anything else, you can drastically change how you appear, because that is like your true essence. That was always your true beauty now shining because you did the work. Could you imagine like someone coming up to you and being like your soul, like you're beautiful, like your energy, your presence, like wow, it's so much more powerful than fitting an arbitrary standard of being pretty, you know, that's made up by businesses and algorithms. And the most amazing thing about that is that every person on this planet has the ability to attain that. And there's more than enough room in this world for every girl to be beautiful. And just because someone is beautiful doesn't mean you're not. Just because someone is pretty doesn't mean you're not. Think of a flower and think of a sunset. They're both beautiful, but they're beautiful in their own way. And you like can't compare their beauty to one another, but they're both beautiful and there's room for both of their beauty in this world. And that also leads me to kind of like a side note that I think will be extremely helpful. I don't know if you've had this problem, but I have this problem, is when I take photos of myself and I look at them, or if like someone takes photos of me and I look at them, I always kind of get upset because I'm like, ugh, like I just don't feel pretty. I don't look pretty in that picture. And like my whole day is now ruined because now my photos are coming out ugly and I have a double chin or my arm's looking fat in that photo. But then think about all the times that you've taken photos of sunsets. Don't you look at those photos and think, man, this just like doesn't even do that sunset justice. This doesn't even look like the sunset. The same thing applies to you, my friend. That photo is not doing you justice. It's not capturing your beauty because it's impossible to. That photo does not capture your energy, your aura, your beauty. It's same with the sunset. You can't capture the beauty in an iPhone of a sunset, about how the light like ricochets off the trees and how it makes you feel. You can't capture that on an iPhone 15. So now it's time that we actually create some change. And it takes these kinds of conversations on a day-to-day basis to create the change. It takes conversations with your sisters, with your friends, and small YouTubers like me to actually start creating this change. If we all collectively start agreeing that we're no longer participating in this BS competition of trying to be pretty and actually start more so going for the goal of being beautiful and doing the inner work and healing and doing soul work. Like, wow, could you imagine how beautiful of a place this world would be if we all just took our attention off of the unattainable goal of being pretty and actually start adding meaning and value to society? So honestly, I hope this video has ultimately just lifted a huge burden off your shoulders, because I'm telling you right now, you don't have to be pretty. If you made it to the end, thanks. You're a real one. Because I'm a complete nobody on the internet, but clearly what I had to say resonates with you, and that's pretty cool. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to listen to me chit chat a little bit more about these kinds of topics. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.